passable only by the east, west and north ferries, and by a wadeway passable only at low water from Langstone. By Act of Parliament, a toll bridge from Langstone to Hayling was constructed and opened by the Duke of Norfolk in 1825. The present bridge was only completed in 1956 and the toll lifted in 1960, allowing free undisturbed access to the island. Many islanders remember how a few years ago they had to get off the bus and walk the length of the bridge owing to the 5-ton traffic restriction imposed in 1954. This meant that only 13 passengers were allowed on the bus while crossing the bridge. The railway from Havant to Hayling, known as the Hayling Line, would this year have celebrated its centenary, having been opened in 1867. With the facilities of the new road bridge and the poor state of repair of the rail bridge, the line failed to pay its way and was closed in 1963. Passing along the western shore, we arrive at one of the Thorntons, which was used until the turn of the century and was mentioned in the Domesday Book. The windmill on this site was destroyed by fire in 1890. More recently, the salt beds have been used for rearing oysters, but the industry failed due to pollution of Langstone Harbour. From North Hayling Halt, the Billy Line followed the Foreshore to South Hayling, and now the coastline is normally deserted and left to the wild ducks and migratory geese. At Sian Lake, the building development has spread to the foreshore, and the residents enjoy the pleasures of their valuable sites. From here, the bay leads to the sign of Ferry, where the now famous landmark is a huge concrete construction which was a section of the Mulberry Harbour used in the landings in Normandy during the Second World War. This section broke its back and could not be towed to the French coast. Looking across at the Eastleigh Ferry pontoon as it is today, 2 prison ships would have been seen in the late 18th century. The 2 hulks were the Ceres, an old Indiaman, and La Fortunée, a French 50-gun ship, which confined up to 700 prisoners at night. During the day, the prisoners worked at Fort Cumberland on Portsea Island. Many of the prisoners were sentenced for life, so there is little wonder that they were often mutinous and a strong military guard was required to maintain order and prevent escapes. Many tales of smuggling could no doubt have been told in the Ferry Boat Inn, which in summer is now a haunt for water skiers and speedboat enthusiasts. The southwestern shore offers fine sandy beaches, but as there is no access for motor vehicles, these beaches are rarely visited by holidaymakers. To quote Trigg's 1892 Guide to Hayling Island, "Not far from the Royal Hotel, a building is devoted to bathing purposes. It contains hot and cold seawater baths of the most approved description. For bathing in the sea, Mr. Brooks provided 20 commodious and comfortably fitted bathing machines, in each of which is a lifebuoy, and these machines were furnished with foot warmers containing hot water for the use of those who suffer from a chill to the feet after bathing." No doubt our present bathing practices would not have been approved. Even as late as 1922, local bylaws did not permit bathing without a hut, or an effective dressing screen within 200 yards of any place to which the public had access. The bathhouse is now a cafe, but otherwise the Crescent and Royal Hotel have not changed much since the beginning of the 19th century. All the fun of the fair is now available at Beechlands, which opened in 1928. Before then, the site was used as a golf course and a horse racing track. The three lifeboats stationed at Hayling were the Olive Leaf, the Charlie and Adrian, and Proctor, the first dating back to 1865. They attended 28 rescues and saved 56 lives. The station was closed in 1924 when motor lifeboats were placed at Bembridge and Selsey. Today the beaches are regularly patrolled by an RAF rescue helicopter from Thorney Island. Sea defences have always been a problem. In only 30 years, between 1294 and 1324, about 500 acres of land were lost to the sea. Today, the sea walls at Eastoke are massive concrete structures. Chichester Harbour is famous for sailing. There are 2 sailing clubs at Hayling, and regattas were held as early as 1873. Longcroft, in the 100 of Bosmere, writes that in 1805 the ship on which the plague had broken out was refused admittance to Penzance, so the master changed course for Chichester Harbour. In a heavy sea, the ship was driven aground on a sandbank off Eastoke. The coast guards were given strict instructions to shoot anyone who came ashore in order to prevent spread of infection. Provisions were passed from the beach by means of a rope. The sickness increased, and day by day the mortality became greater, until a heavy sea and bad weather set in from the south, when the ill-fated vessel sank, and all on board perished. Along the eastern shore, past Menjum Rise, we arrive at Mill Rise, Rise being a local name for a stream. At both these rides there are quays where in the past cargo was unloaded, and it was only a few years ago that the last coal barge was unloaded at Mill Rise. On this site at Mill Rise, there once stood a tidal watermill, which was destroyed by fire in 1877. From the records, it appears that such a mill existed here as early as 1259. Passing along the northeastern shore, which is mainly mudflats at low tide, we returned to the bridge to Langston, where we started our beating of the Barnes tour of Hayling.